Have you ever taken up something you didn't like for another person?
I was trying to think of that.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to Straight Up Book Club.
Welcome.
Today we're going to be talking about a funny story by Emily Henry. We're going to be talking about the first half of this book. Yeah, what did you think about it? But okay, last time I totally forgot to ask you about your week. So let's do that first. How was your week, Heather?
It was good. I had family here until like Tuesday, and we went out last night, and we're both a little hungover. So this is gonna be
It's a struggle.
This is gonna be a funny. We're both struggling this morning. It's gonna be a funny session talking about funny stories. How was your week?
It was good. It was one of those weeks that, I don't know, felt really fast at first and then slowed down in the middle and then was fast again. I don't know. It was a little bit of a roller coaster, but it was kind of nice to have that like slow down bit for a little bit.
It's that Wednesday feeling. Something about Wednesdays just like slows everything down.
Yeah.
But no, I feel that. It was a busy week, so I'm glad it's Saturday. I'm very, very glad that it's Saturday. And we're going to the horse races after this.
I'm so excited.
Jam-packed. Hair of the dog, probably. I don't know. Could go for a Caesar.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I might do an Aperol Spritz.
Ooh, that's also a good idea.
Caesar sounds good, too.
And Morty's coming over, and he just took... He just left a hot turd on the couch, and we had to clean that up before we started recording. And we're in a rush today, Morty. Okay, sorry, let's collect ourselves. Okay.
Yeah, we're airing Morty's dirty laundry.
Yeah, his dirty turds. Oh my god, he just fell in his bed.
Oh, Morty.
So I'm
Morty's struggling too this morning.
We're all struggling today.
It's like matching our energy.
Thank God. We were just saying, like, thank God that we're talking about funny story instead of like a little life today, because I feel like I wouldn't be able to like pull myself together to talk about something dark. So really grateful that we had like a nice beach read, a nice like chill book, like a lot of tension in the chill book, but it's definitely much lighter.
Yeah. So tell us about what happens in this book in the first half, Heather.
It's really interesting how it starts, because it opens with Daphne, our main character, talking about how she loves how her fiancé talks about their meet cute, I guess, and how he does it in a very like kind of movie star quality, where he's got like this great beginning, middle, end, and he embellishes and just makes it this like really beautiful story. And she goes, well, that's what it used to be. Now it's a blip in his new story with his new like lover, which is Petra, who is his like longtime best friend. Like they've been best friends since they were kids.
Yeah.
And we get the backstory, which is that on the night of his bachelor party, he comes home and breaks up with Daphne because Petra has confessed her love for him.
This was wild. Like, how? I had so many questions about this. Like, how did you read this? Because I was just like, okay, like it didn't come out of nowhere. No one just suddenly tells you, oh, I'm in love with you. And you're like, oh shit, me too.
The anger that I felt for this fictional character in that moment was like, I felt like my whole body was burning. Like, who does that? Also, she was in a relationship too, because as we discover, like she was with this guy, Miles. She left him for Peter, and now like Miles and Daphne are roommates. But like, yeah, no, you're right. It doesn't come out of nowhere. And Daphne kind of comes to that realization later on when she's talking about Petra to Miles. And she says, she strung you along, like to start talking about Miles. She strung Miles along for years as like a just in case it didn't work out. But also, like, why would you wait until like the bachelor party? Like, it was so gross the way they did it. And then sorry. Daphne moves in with Miles, and they get invited to their wedding, because Peter and Petra have not just like essentially cheated on their spouses and left them for each other, but they're also like getting married right away and then invited them. Okay, what did you think about that?
That was so weird to me, because like at first I was like, is this a mistake? But also like, how does a mistake like that happen? Like, was someone else like helping them send the invitations and didn't realize? But I feel like everyone in their circle sort of knows what's happened. Also, the fact that he just like swapped fiancés is really fucking weird. Also, oh, okay, I was gonna get married to this girl. Don't really feel like that anymore, so I'm gonna get married to this other person. It seems like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, they probably just kept all the same things and just moved it out a month, which is so messed up. And also, how is Petra okay with that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I'm wondering if we're going to start to realize that like she's not, because I'm getting these, I mean, for instance, Petra still texts Miles, and Miles and Daphne are now pretending to date as a way to get back at them for inviting them to the wedding, and they RSVP'd yes to the wedding on one drunken night. And in doing so, I think Peter called Daphne saying, you don't have to do this, like you don't have to come to the wedding. And she's like, oh no, I'm coming and I'm bringing Miles. And then since this, they've been like facading as this couple.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, of course, they're falling in love. But where was I going with this? Oh yeah, but Miles is still getting like messages from Petra. Like she's still staying in touch, saying things like, I'm happy for you. But like, why would you do that? Like you guys were in a relationship, you're acting like you were friends. Like, is Petra just like best friends with everyone and then floating around until she finds out who she wants to be with forever? I don't know.
Yeah, that part was so strange. It's like, and I think you called this out in your notes too, right? It's like, there's a section where they unpack, okay, like you just want to do whatever you want, but also don't want people to feel bad about what you did. But you can't have it both ways. If you do a bad thing, you have to live with the consequences of your actions as well. Like that kind of goes hand in hand. You can't pretend like you didn't do this horrible thing.
So that was their rationale, I guess, for why Peter and Petra sent them the invitations. Because when I read that, I was like, who fucking does that? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And then I think the author knew that we were going to ask that question, and the two characters were like, oh, why do you think they did it? I can't remember what their back and forth was, but they concluded that they both want to be liked, and they want everyone to like them, including the people that they absolutely betrayed, which is just like a whole other level of narcissism if that is the case. But do you think that that is the case? Do you think that they actually are just like so delusional that they think that these two are gonna like think that they're being the better people by inviting them to their wedding? Or do you think it was a little bit of a show, like, oh look, we're getting married? Like, what do you think was up with that?
I kind of think it was like a show, in that they never thought they'd actually come to the wedding. But you send an invitation being like, okay, like it's fine if you want to come, but also like this is a formality on both ends. Like you're not really gonna come, we don't really expect you to come, that sort of thing. But it's a mind game, right? And that really sucks. I'm finding Petra and Peter to be painted so like in this one-dimensional way so far, and I really hope we get a little bit more, because right now they're just villains. I just hope we get more, because I don't know, there's not enough meat to those characters for me, at least. What do you think?
Oh yeah, no, I don't see them as anything but really annoying villains right now.
Yeah.
It's interesting because Miles seems to refuse to see Petra as a villain though. Like he won't speak ill of her ever. I do think that's more of a testament to Miles' character though than it is to like how great Petra actually was. I don't know. I have to admit, like I haven't read like a would you say this is like a rom-com? I'm not sure what.
Yeah, I think
like,
so.
I think
well,
so.
just romance. Yeah.
Tell us. I don't know. But I haven't really read books like this before, so I don't know if that's what to expect. Like to have like a kind of like a villain who's a little bit more one-dimensional. When you think of like those Disney movies we watched as kids, like all those characters were one-dimensional, and now they're coming out with these amazing movies that have backstories of these characters that we didn't even think of. Like Wicked, I just saw that this weekend, is a great example of that, where you have like these witches in it that you don't think twice about, and now we have these like cool backstories that we can look into. I don't know, maybe if we don't get another side of them, someone can make like fan fiction about Peter and Petra and how just insufferable Daphne was. I don't know.
Okay, We were talking, I think, last episode about naming your characters.
Oh my
Oh my God,
God.
Peter and Petra. I can't even. It's just like, why?
Why do we do that though? Because like I think it's a natural thing. Like the Andy and Abby and the Jen and the Jane. I did it too with the Anna and the Hannah. Like, what are we doing? Is it just like we like that cadence? Is it intentional? Is that a marker of how one-dimensional they are, that their names are essentially identical and they're pretty much the same person?
Yeah, maybe. And even that soulmate sort of angle, right? Like, maybe they're just so alike in all of these ways. They've known each other since they were kids. They've grown up together. Even their names are similar. Maybe that's what it's meant to evoke. I'm not quite sure.
The whole, like, them being best friends as kids and their families being so close and like they seem like that couple who's like destined to be together.
Mm-hmm.
Why now? Like why do you think, I don't know, it seems like to me that's a marker of them just being shitty people. They're gonna wait until they can like destroy someone else, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's so true. Yeah, I guess maybe there's an element of you want what you can't have also. Like maybe as this wedding draws closer, they're like, oh, like we're actually in love and I thought we were just friends. But that part of it is really strange too. Like after that many years as friends, aren't you just friend zone?
Yeah.
Like don't you see someone in a really particular way? Like I personally can't imagine just flipping like that. But
yeah, it's weird. I don't trust it. I don't think they're gonna last. What do you think of Daphne and Miles' relationship? Because that came on hot and heavy. It's supposed to be like
so steamy in
so
parts.
steamy. Oh my God, I didn't know what to expect, but
Yeah,
I'm here for it. Yeah, I was kind of, yeah. What did you think of how that all unfolded? I think it's what it's supposed to be. It's a story about like couples swapping essentially.
Yeah.
One in a real way and one in a fictitious way. But it's funny because the real one feels like that's going to not last. And then the one that's built on something that's fake seems like it might have potential. Like, what do you think of that relationship between Daphne and Miles?
I think a lot of it is kind of predictable, right? Like, and I think that's sort of the nature of the genre too. Like, I also haven't read very many romance books. Yeah, it's interesting because Miles also, like, the way we find out about him, he's like, you know, hot, but like in a way that you don't realize till you got to know him. They're both sort of closed books, but are opening up to each other. And I don't know. I'm a little annoyed by their relationship, because it's almost like we're only together because of the circumstances, you know, and they're sort of bonding over the shared trauma. I also find the whole pretending to be together kind of childish.
Yeah, I agree. I think that part was childish. And also their dialogue is so cheesy.
Yeah.
It's like always like a little joke and a little joke. Like maybe as teenagers we talked like that a little bit. Like never saying what we really mean. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the dialogue gets to me.
There are also some words like I actually like highlighted. There
Ass
was
hat? Sorry, no.
Ass hat?
Sorry, keep going.
I didn't pick up on that one. But there's a point where he's like pointing out her laughs and the various kinds of laughs that she has, and he's just like flirting with her. But he uses the word chortle. Who, like, I don't think I've ever said that word aloud before today.
Some of the things, yeah, there are some words too that took me aback. And a part of me was like, is it a Michigan thing? Like this takes place in Michigan, and I feel like chortle? I don't know. Okay. I feel like states have some of their own lingo. Okay. I'm trying to think like of what my parents say. I don't know. They say weird things. And then like as a Newfoundlander, we say weird things. I think I used a new term this morning, and I was like, I don't know if not like lick, like not a lick is something. And I was like,
no, like that is more common.
I guess chortle feels just old.
It does. Yeah. It feels very like formal, and it doesn't fit how they're talking either. And you're right. Maybe that is sort of just like a locale thing too that I'm not familiar with. I don't know.
Anyone from Michigan, let us know.
Yeah.
I go to Detroit all the time. I feel like I should know this, but I don't. I don't know. It's like northern Michigan. It seems like it's like actually. Do you know that Michigan's shaped like a mitten? And so it's like, I don't know, I guess the top part of the mitten. Anyway, sorry. I feel like I totally went on a tangent. The relationship between Daphne and Miles. Why? I guess like maybe it is the trauma bonding that has brought them there. I mean, but I agree. Like, who does that?
Yeah, and I see, like, you know, it's a romance book. She needs like a love interest, but. And also, like, it wouldn't have made sense if she started dating. She's not ready for that yet, it seems like. So I guess in that way, I get it. But yeah, it's a little annoying.
Do you think that Miles and Daphne are going to last, or do you think that it's going to fizzle out?
I feel like it'll probably last, you know.
Given the nature of the book. Yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of like those movies like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days or Failure to Launch. I don't know. I don't even think I saw that second one. It's the first thing I could think of. But it's like, you know, it's kind of predictable, a little cheesy at times, but it's light and it's fun and it, you know, stirs some conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, the person that you are most annoyed by is suddenly the person that you're in love with, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a cliche for sure. I wanted to ask you about what you thought about Ashley. Like, that was sort of a sleeper character in a way. Like, I don't know. She was like presented as this sort of like standoffish person, and then suddenly, you know, she has this like backstory and she's like a really good friend now. And yeah, what did you think about that sort of telling and how it relates to just Daphne's friend situation in general?
Ashley's probably my favorite character in the book. I think at the beginning she was described as like this like really beautiful exotic woman, but someone who was simultaneously like the villain, like looks like a villain from a movie or a witch, or I can't remember what term she used. And she's the first person, if like a man comes in and hits on either of them, she's the first person to essentially tell them to fuck off or like ban them from the library. And she's a little bit of a lone wolf. It seems she has a kid named Mulder, which Daphne makes fun of, but I think is amazing as a big X-Files fan. Like, yes, name your kid Mulder. That's amazing. And I don't know, I just feel like she's so honest. And I think Daphne and Miles' characters, kind of like what I was alluding to before, they kind of dance around what they mean and they never really say how they feel. And I think Ashley and Miles' sister Julia, I think, is also kind of like this. Like, they just say what they think and how they feel. And there's a shared moment between Ashley and Daphne where Daphne remarks something about like people don't really like her because she's so obsessed with her kid, or she's like, or she's always late or something like that. Yeah. Which is like, someone who's always late. I was on time for dinner last night. I felt like I deserved an award. I think you all joked that I deserved an award because it's the first time I've ever not been a half hour late for dinner. I'm so sorry. Anyways, she's always late. And Ashley says something like, you know, I'm always late because I'm a single mom, or like not a single mom. The father is in the picture, but she does have main custody. She's like, you know, I'm with my kid. I got to bring my kid to daycare or whatever. Yeah. And, you know, at the end of the day, he does come first. Like, if it's between my job and my kid, I'm going to choose my kid again and again. And I liked how upfront she was about that. And I think that maybe that there's a realness to her that Daphne hasn't really experienced. Like, it sounds like Daphne's been a little bit of a lone wolf herself, but not because she wants to be. Yeah. She was with her mom, who's also a single parent, and then she had her friend Sadie, and her friend Sadie is kind of shitty because she hasn't reached out to her since the breakup, and then we find out that she's hanging out with like Peter and Petra. Like, what did you think about that?
Yeah, that part was really messed up, and yeah, that was, you know, Sadie's one of her only friends who's not connected to Peter, right? Or wasn't at first. And when they were together, like Sadie and her partner got close with Peter, and it seems like they chose the other couple because it's easier. And that's how it was presented. And it kind of reminded me of what we were talking about with Good Material too. Oh, hi, Morty. You know, when you break up with someone, there's all those mini breakups within it, and then the friends are a big part of it. So yeah, that dynamic totally shifted because you're psyching yourself up. Got a little something on your head. Oh. Time that so poorly.
He woke us up in the middle of the night choking on his food because he eats too fast. And then he dropped the hot turd on the couch, and he's peeing every night in the den. I don't know what to do with you, but you're so cute. Sorry, yes.
He's so
no,
cute.
You're right. Like the like bringing other parts of yourself into a relationship, and in this situation, it's so tragic because that part of yourself is your friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And and they just kind of drop Daphne because
was Peter more interesting? Like why?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It sounds like they just like their double dates or whatever.
Yeah.
But the same thing with the places, right? So they're going to places that were, Peter and Daphne's places, and suddenly they're going there with is it Connor and
I think
Sadie?
so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that really sucks too.
I think she made the point that like they wanted to be friends with a couple, so because Peter had hooked up with Petra so quickly, it was like, great, we have another couple to hang out with. But I don't know, and like going to the same places, that says a lot about a person. Like just choose another place. Like there's lots to choose from.
I know,
most of them are new.
Yeah, but it's interesting because Ashley, we find out later, has this like poker night with her mom's friends. So she's hanging out with a lot of like older people. And it's funny because I saw that parallel with Miles too. Like he's drawn to old people, and it's cute. He just like, there's this moment where he's like, yeah, there's something so nice about hanging out with people whose like worst mistakes are behind them. And that really stuck with me. That outlook is so interesting. Like that he's thinking about it in terms of mistakes and not like, oh, okay, you've lived and you have all these experiences. It's about the mistakes. Like, and that's part of his trauma too. Like he just wants things to be okay, and it's just kind of sad.
Yeah, he definitely has a lot of trauma, not just from Petra, but it sounds like we haven't gotten the full story yet, but there's something with his parents. Like he doesn't talk to his parents, and his sister doesn't either, and it sounds like he's trying to like protect her from them. But the way that Petra has framed it to Peter is that he's kind of like a shitty person who won't even talk to his parents, which is wild. Like,
yeah.
And Miles was taken aback when he found out that Peter had said that to Daphne, because he's like, I barely told Petra that stuff. It's weird to me that she'd share it.
Yeah. And then again, I think that goes back to, was Petra just sort of stringing him along and didn't really like him in that way? And because if your partner tells you something like that, that's so, sacred. Exactly. Like you don't just want to go share it with your friends in this sort of lighthearted, kind of cynical, mocking way. So, yeah, I really hope we get to see more of Petra and Peter, because I need a reason to understand these characters, I think, a little bit more. Yeah.
We might, because the way that this 200 pages ends, it's funny, I guess like the halfway mark is kind of like where a big climax has to happen. But Daphne and Miles are going to this event that Miles had tickets for a long time, because originally he was going to take Petra with him.
The senior prom.
Yeah, and seniors. They go, and then Petra and Peter bought tickets. It's almost like these two are trying to play mind games. Like Miles is like, what? Like, I had these for months in advance. Like, I'm the one with the tickets. Why would you go and buy more tickets? Like,
yeah,
it's like she knew he was gonna be there. Yeah. So weird.
It's really strange. It's also like such a small town. Everyone seems to know each other. That was just like drive me up the wall, honestly.
Oh my God.
And like feeling anonymous.
I agree. But I do love books and movies that take place in small towns where everybody knows each other. Like Miles goes shopping at like an asparagus stand, a strawberry stand. There's like a lavender place, which they go and Peter shows up there and Daphne's kind of taken aback. He's like, this is not the kind of place he's ever been. Why is he like, is this a part of his life that I didn't know?
Yeah.
There was a moment when Daphne's talking about how she's so like, she doesn't know who she is because she was so wrapped up in Peter that like she did everything that he did. Like she like ate certain foods because he counted his like micros and macros, and like she worked out because he worked out, and you know, they essentially did everything that he wanted. They didn't watch action movies because Peter didn't like action movies. And she's coming out of this relationship and she's kind of saying like, I don't even know what I like. I don't know who I am, and I want to find out who I am. But I also find it's interesting because she's saying that while she's doing everything that Miles wants to do. Like she's going to this like prom night and she's went kayaking, and she's kayaking and she does not have she talks about how she doesn't have the strength to actually do it, and maybe she's enjoying it, but it's like girl needs some time alone.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? And what do you think of in like, do you think that's common for people? It's interesting because paralleling that with Good Material, where they talk about how like you have your interests and your partner has theirs, or another person has theirs, and when you come together you have these like joint interests. And in this, it sounds a little bit more of the side where it's I end up with you and you decide who I am. Like, do you think that's common? Do you think it's it can be healthy? Like, what do you think of that mentality? Yeah, or not even that mentality, that phenomenon, or I don't know how else to articulate it.
Yeah, that's interesting because like I feel like there's two ways of doing that, right? Like there might be okay, so if I have zero interest in watching basketball, but I watch it because you're watching it, you know, or my partner's watching it, like, and then I continue to do that and be really excited about that even though I'm not really into it, that's unhealthy maybe, right? But if I've never watched basketball before, I've never been to a game, and suddenly I realize, because you know, you show me, oh shit, like I actually have never experienced this and I really enjoy it, but you showed it to me, like now I like it, and that's fine, right? I don't see that as being unhealthy. So I think there's like an aspect of discovery, because even, okay, so with the kayak situation, right? Like she's discovering that she doesn't like it, but if she continues to like go on all these kayak adventures, then maybe that's not true to herself, right? So I think there's room for both. Yeah, I think it's more so when you try to love something that you don't, and that pretending, that's unhealthy to me. What do you think?
I agree. I think that was actually really well put, because I wasn't really sure what I thought, but I think you're right. I think if you come into a relationship, the importance is going into a relationship already knowing yourself and what you do and don't like, and being open to trying new things. So I think I wonder if that's an issue with Daphne. Like, it sounds like she doesn't know herself, and it sounds like she's kind of grappling with that realization that she doesn't actually know who she is and what she wants and what she doesn't want. I think she knows what she wants career-wise. She wanted nothing more than to be a librarian. She loves children. It sounds like she wants to be a mom. It sounds like, you know, this is her life. But outside of that, in regards to like tastes and interests, she is kind of figuring that stuff out. I think that is actually really well put. Have you ever taken up something you didn't like for another person?
I was trying to think of that. I don't know. Like, I think there's a lot of that discovery piece, you know, like I've definitely had a lot of partners sort of show me interests that I later developed or whatever, but it's because I hadn't experienced them before in a way. But I think a lot of my core interests I've just had, you know, so there's nothing.
The black cat in you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe people have taken up things for you. That'd be my guess.
Have you?
I was also trying to think about that, and I couldn't.
I mean, like, so we love reading. So partners may have shown us certain books, right? So that sort of thing.
Or movies or foods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I the only thing I can think of is I once dated a guy who was vegan and we went for sushi.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like ready to order my like tuna roll and salmon roll, and he was like, "Oh no, let's share." And I was like, "Okay." And I still am mad that I had a sushi dinner without any actual fish. It's the only thing I can think of, but like tragic.
I love that.
But yeah, no, like I didn't become a vegan. Like it was one meal.
Yeah, like
it's the black cats in us.
Yeah, we know who we are.
Yeah. Know what you like and don't like, and then pursue some.
And then create shared interests, right? Like that's such a key part of it.
Yes, I agree. Okay, we gotta wrap it up. We got some horse races to go to. So read the second half of Funny Story, and we'll have a new episode for you next week. Excited to see if we get more of Peter and Petra. Excited to see if Daphne and Miles make it or don't make it. I would love if they don't, and Daphne goes on a mission to like find herself, but I don't know. Let's see what happens.
Maybe this book will end with a trip that she's planned to find herself. Who
in
knows?
2020. Okay.
All right. We'll see you next time.
See you at book club.
Bye.
Bye.